And the countdown for game number 4 has started. Mong took home a beautiful win in game number 3, displaying a very technical but very risky Protoss that almost got punished into death by tOKi. But he comes out, survived the early aggression from tOKi, and counter punches with his own early aggression. But very technical early aggression with great target selection and great zone control. And eventually comes out with the win by just hammering away at all the weak spots in tOKi's base. And now the roles have once again reversed. Mong is back on the Terran in game number 4, likewise to game number 2. And tOKi is on the Protoss, the brown Protoss on the middle right spot. tOKi using the name Yangchigisonyun. And MongTube on the top right corner above tOKi, which will prove to be a very difficult thing for tOKi to handle, because Mong will be going for that hill abuse, I am sure. Maybe he's one of those players who does not go for hill abuse. I don't know. I haven't seen him within this specific situation before. I haven't seen that many replays. But I do know that Mong is a very creative and very strong Terran player. One of the strongest Terran players in the world. As he is an ASL pro player and KSL pro player as well. So he's definitely within the top 15 of best players around right now on planet Earth on Starcraft. And whether he is one of those best players on Fastmap as well, I don't know, but I have a feeling that he is definitely within the top 10 of best Fastmap players in the world. That's a nice pickup for him. He's been enjoying Fastmap a lot lately, spamming it every single day for the last 2 months, playing with the best of the best Shin, Hamburgersasu, Duka, Libagu, tOKi, and Minchul, and many other fast map players, such as Light, who is a low map or a regular map player, a pro player, but also a low money fast map player. Alright, so he's got his barracks up, producing his marines, chasing that probe away. Probe tries to turn around, but immediately changes his mind once he sees those marines. He pulls around again, and he tries to go for the run by, and it will die to a very nice micro from Mong. Well, a bit unnecessary, but it looks really nice. The status stepping on the marine. And tOKi is pretty close to getting his cannons down for his choke. Forge. There's no Forge, right? He's being risky. Sometimes I like risky play from a Protoss, but risky play from a Protoss can get punished very hard. There is the cybernetics core. He's waiting for the minerals for the Forge. There is the Forge. Simulator finishes. Zealots now going in for the harass. 4 Zealots against 10 Marines. 10 Marines are greater than 4 Zealots, so now he's going to have to wait to regroup with those other 2 Zealots that are about to spawn from his gateways. He's trying to catch some aggro from those Marines, but the Marines decide to just go full on aggressive, unsolicited. Zealot now regrouping with the other Zealots. Another assimilator being thrown down. Pylons as well. Slowly the skeleton for tOKi space is being destroyed. Alright, the Zealots meet the Marines. A single Marine goes down. Zealots are chasing the Marines. Marines now turn around as they regroup and form into a ball, which Zealots are very bad at fighting into. Zealots now running away, very slowly hammering away at those Zealots with those Marines. Marines on the chase. A cannon has been thrown down for tOKi in his choke. Now he regrouped his Zealots, 7 Zealots against 14 or so Marines. He goes for the counterattack, trying to get a surround off on those Zealots, but the Zealots Marines are microing backwards really nicely. The cannon has finished. Now he can micro around the cannon. Zealots going back in. Marines get microed backwards very slowly. The cannon is taking out a lot of these Marines. Mong is forced to pull back and retreat as the cannon here dealing tons of damage on those Marines. Half of the Marines went down, only 6 Marines left. Even more than half of those Marines went down because he had 14 Marines there. But now he's sending out Firebat. Stim upgrade is almost finished. He goes for the distraction on the cannons. 2 Firebats make it through the wall. Firebats now stimming up. tOKi's gonna try to get a block off on those Firebats. And actually he manages to get a block off on the Firebats. Both Firebats will go down before they can reach the mineral stack. The tOKi's probes survive, stay safe, and Mong actually comes out in a pretty good position. Both players losing exactly what they intended to lose, and not losing anything they cannot afford to lose. And tOKi now very close to getting his drop ready. He's got a single shuttle on the way, robotic support bay, and Citadel of Adun also being constructed. The Citadel of Adun is a little bit late, but does end up finishing. Zealot lags are not being researched just yet. He's gonna wait a little bit longer before he throws that down. The robotic support bay finishes. Second robotic facility still underway. Shuttle will finish just before the robotic facilities finishes. He kills his own zealot for whatever reason. Maybe to free up supply space, because he's getting supply blocks. So that's some very quick thinking if that was his thought process. To prevent himself from getting supply blocked, he kills a zealot. Pylon now finishes right around the time that he would get supply blocked, so that's a beautiful timing. As 2 Reavers under construction are being warped in now. He's gonna drop 2 Zealots here over the hill to kill the turrets as you're on the side to prevent Mong from getting the defenses down that he needs. He gets the turret down, picks up the Zealots, and runs away over the hill. Mong is playing a very, very heavy barrack build, pumping out a lot of Marines, getting weapon upgrade for ground already on the way. Well, infantry weapons upgrade. Siege mode is also being researched, tanks are being constructed, mining, harvesting gas from 3 geysers, or refineries to be more precise. And scan is finished. He scanned once, not scanned twice. He drops Reavers in the... No, he dropped Reavers on the front, but his Marine here, placed over the hill that's been patrolling back and forth, spots out the shuttle. That means tOKi now cannot go in from that side, because Mong is already relocating his Marines. And instead of oh, this is very nice, because Mong unsieged his tank. Mong can now hammer away at this front here. Mong now does decide to siege up, gets 2 shots off on a Reaver. Reaver is very close to dying. But because of that, Mong's wall has been broken, and the 2 depots that were being constructed have been slowed down. Mong now having to pull over 2 SCVs to finish off the depots. tOKi already loading up a Storm Templar drop. Storm is still being researched, but it will finish once he flies out of space. Shuttle speed is also on the way. Air armor for his shuttles is also being researched. He's going to regroup those 2 shuttles with this shuttle here and fly in a very strong drop from the west side of Mong's base. Or maybe he's going to... he gets spotted out by a Marine again. Mong already repositioning his Marines into the right spot where the shuttle will be flying in. The shuttle flies in, and it gets spotted out. It gets scanned, so it gets damaged before it flies over the hill. That's a beautiful scan from Mong, and now another drop flies in under the cover of a Corsair. But Mong is focusing down the shuttles individually and takes down both shuttles before they can fly in and be a threat to Mong's minerals. Very beautiful pickup for Mong. Once again, very good control, very quick thinking, and very quick reactions. This very smart play. It was so smart to use that scan here on the hill, because as you can see, the hill is invisible. But he used the scan on the hill so that the turrets will be able to fire on the shuttle before it can fly in and drop the Reavers out on the low ground and kill these Marines that were right next to the turret. So that's really quick, precise, mechanical thinking from Mong. tOKi has a lot of idle probes there, but he's focused on this drop here. He's focused on making a new drop, focused on producing units. He finally puts the probes on the minerals. There's a Corsair on the way. There's a drop flies in over the north side of Mong's western wall. It flies in all the way towards the minerals. The Templar comes out, but the Templar immediately dies to the tank fire. A second Templar is out there, but the Templar kills a couple of Marines and 4 SCVs. Nothing that Mong is not... nothing Mong cannot... Nothing Mong cannot afford to lose. That's the correct way of saying it. So here tOKi's already started an expo for his gas. There is a Stargate there, so he's already preparing to make a carrier exposition there. Because he knows he has to go for carriers very, very early, because Mong will probably abuse the hill mechanic where he can land tanks on the hill, put tanks behind the hill, and then put tanks over the hill. And the tanks will protect the tanks and make it impossible for Yangchigisonyun or tOKi to really be on the offensive, because he will be forced to defend himself against those tanks behind and on the hill and in front of the hill. But I don't know whether Mong is going for that because he hasn't added on machine shops for his starports, and he's still only on a single factory. He's very slowly building onto his base. Very, very slowly, but controlled and precise. Now 2 armories are coming down. He's got his units positioned in such a way that they can intercept shuttles, but his army size is still quite small. 10 minutes into the game, only on a single factory. Second factory now being constructed. tOKi already has his fleet beacon out on the southern side of the map and pulled a bunch of probes to the south to put on these simulators. And he's probably going to mine minerals from here too as well. So he already has his minerals somewhat secured there. tOKi is also quite rich. He's just immediately going for carriers, I assume. Or he's still making Corsairs on this wave. Carriers will probably be out on the next wave. Carrier capacity is already being researched. There's a drop flying out over the west side of tOKi's base. Gonna fly around, but it's gonna fly into these barracks that have been lifted off for additional vision for Mong. 2 engineering base out there too. So he's gonna fly over those engineering base, and these raids are on the hunt for those shuttles. They find the first shuttle goes down. He does manage to drop a single Templar. Templar storms itself, trying to storm the raids, and second shuttle also went down. Now Mong is once again on the hunt for something. Right, he killed that probe that he saw with the barracks, and he stops tOKi from building cannons here in the middle. Mong, however, is still very, 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 very small, and he did lose a lot of his SCVs just now. And I was so focused on the other drop that I missed that one. So I am gonna take the liberty of rewinding that real quick. Just a little bit. Bam. Hope I can hide it all in time, so I don't spoil the duration of the game too much. Pop, and it's gone. Alright, so while that was happening on the top side, drop comes flying in right here over the southern side of his base, flies in all the way, gets a beautiful storm off on the SCVs. Both 2 storms, killed 3 storms, killing about 30 SCVs, even more. Oh, another storm! 4 or 5 storms in total, killing 50 SCVs in total, or something around that number, but it has to be at least 50 SCVs, and a couple of Marines as well that went down while he was chasing the shuttle around here on the west side of his base. Or actually, it happened while I was focused down here, so that's just very sloppy spectating on my side. I'm just happy I decided to rewind, because now the fight with the shuttles is going to happen, and the prevention of the probe here. So as once again he sees the shuttles, raids come for the hunt, raid take down the shuttles, Templar gets dropped, Templar gets a storm off, but misses the storm, storms himself to death. Well, actually Mong still managed to pick up that Templar, but Mong's in a very, very, very terrible, absolutely terrible position ever. He's in the worst imaginable position possible, because the Protoss is just so far ahead of the Terran. Although the Terran does have 2 extra command centers, it's going to be very hard for him to rebuild, with most of his income killed by that drop. So all tOKi has to do now is just land a couple more drops, or maybe even go for a frontal zealot attack here, which would have been possible if he wasn't already making... He's not making carriers. I really thought he'd be going for carriers here, but he recognizes that he dealt a lot of damage with that drop. Alright, he loses his shuttles here to those raids, being very aggressive and offensive, going shuttle hunting before tOKi can load up his drops. tOKi now taking down these barracks that are flying on the side. He even flew into the base of Mong just to get some information on how many units he has here at his choke, how strong the wall is, whether Mong can survive a frontal attack or not. tOKi now going for the frontal attack, sending his zealots out into the middle of the map, aiming to kill those depots here. There's a lot of Marines and Firepass in those bunkers behind the depots, but these depots will definitely go down to the Zealots. Zealots hammering away at the depots. Siege tanks in the back helping the Zealots take down those depots. This barricade going down to the Corsairs. Corsairs just hammering away very quickly. Pew, 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 pew. Very quickly it goes down. And Mong now has to rebuild his wall very quickly. But he's short on minerals because he lost 50 SCVs just earlier. Another wave of units already being constructed for tOKi in these Stargates. Not in the gateways, but in these Stargates. He's got Disruption Web on the way as well. He might as well get it and get these Corsairs to be of use. And Mong once again going for the offensive Wraith move, hunting down the shuttles, preventing tOKi from getting drops down on him. So that's actually a really nice offensive play from Mong while being down on a deficit in order to prevent tOKi from landing drops. Because he can't have any shuttles. He can't drop without shuttles. So Mong, very slowly rebuilding, started adding on factories. He's got 50 SCVs mining and harvesting gas and minerals at this point in the game. And he found the expo, and there's no cannon there, there's no observer there. So all these carriers will go down to the Wraith fire. The Wraith's doing such a great job. This is such a beautiful pickup for Mong, being able to find this expo with the scan and with the scouting from those Wraiths. This is a very, 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 very lucky pickup. And the cannon comes down, but there are so many Wraiths here that all the carriers that were there go down. A single carrier that just spawned stays alive. But this buys Mong so much time to recover, because it takes such a long time for these carriers to finish. I think it takes about 60 seconds for a carrier to go through the entire process of spawning, maybe even more. I really have to look that up, because I don't know the specifics. Another scan comes down, he scans something? Yeah, he scans something, I don't know what he scanned. tOKi now trying to load up another drop. He's got a carrier there with interceptors that he can fly here and attack the turrets with, which should allow the shuttle to fly in unopposed. But there's already 8 Valkyries behind those turrets, and those Valkyries will have no problems taking down those Corsairs and shuttles, hammering away. The shuttles actually do make it through, but the Wraiths that were there as a backup do come in, and they get a storm off on the SCVs, and another 40 SCVs go down. Mong thought he had it, but a Templar gets dropped within the range of the SCVs and takes down the SCVs once more. And all the effort that Mong put into preserving himself and slowing tOKi down, all moves which were very effective and great. The shuttle hunting was absolutely amazing, because it buys him time, takes the pressure off of him. Taking out the carriers here on the south, also amazing move, takes more pressure off of him. But he loses his SCVs once again. He does have a lot of Valkyries and Wraiths to fight against carriers though. And there are 6 carriers out, 7 carriers out for tOKi. And I assume that these Wraiths and Valkyries will be sufficient to deal with that. And these turrets here behind the hill will also assist in taking down interceptors. tOKi is however very rich. He's got more carriers on the way. He's got Corsairs with Disruption Web ready to disrupt the tanks on the hill and on the low ground here. Another tank comes flying in, tanks hammering away at the cannons. tOKi is feeling the pressure. Now tOKi is going for the counterattack. But these Valkyries, Wraiths, and turrets is behind the hill are really taking care of these interceptors really quickly. And tOKi is already forced to pull back his carriers to safer confines and rebuild his interceptors. He's now sending out units over the map, trying to go for a counterattack, but the counterattack immediately gets met by Zealots. The Zealots now taking on his Marines here, but eventually the Zealots will go down because there's too many Marines being healed by medics. And more tanks being flown in, a couple of Goliaths as well. Goliaths are great against carriers. These tanks getting closer, inching closer every single little bit. Mong's small economy does not matter at all, though he's already back at 57 SCVs. Now he's hammering away on these carriers. The Corsairs taking care of the Wraiths and Valkyries very quickly, because that's what Corsairs are good at. Wraiths are pretty much paper airplanes that Corsairs just shred through, and tOKi does manage to clean out most of the tanks on the low ground, but his interceptors are very quickly dying to the Valkyries and the turrets behind the hill. He's also replenishing them quite quickly. tOKi now sending in his Corsairs to very quickly take down these Valkyries, but the Valkyries are dealing too much damage to the Corsairs, and the Corsairs end up going down before taking down the Valkyrie. Valkyries are pretty beefy. Valkyries also getting prepared. So that's a really nice move from Mong. Not letting his units go to waste, but repairing them instead. I love when a player repairs their own units. You see it so rarely on fastest map because you can replace them, but it's still better to repair them at times. Now the tank's on the high ground going down to the carriers. There's fewer units behind the hill because he has only a limited amount of production facilities. He's also got a limited amount of gas income. His gas is very low, but he's hanging in there. tOKi is still fighting Mong. Mong still managing to hold on, keep on surviving. He's not rolling over easy. He's actually not rolling over at all. And tOKi is... well, tOKi's still got a lot of shield batteries here for his carriers to repair or replenish their shields. tOKi now killing off the last couple of tanks on the high ground. Took down a turret behind the hill as well. Mong is gonna have to be preparing a very good attack very soon. And there is... well, they don't restore that much energy to the carrier shields, but it's better than nothing at all. It's kind of the same idea as repairing your Valkyries. It's like repairing your own carriers. If you can do it, please do it. It really does make a difference. The carrier is now hammering away at the front. The front of Mong's base has gone down. There's no more depots there, forming a wall. Just two bunkers with an open wall. He's gonna try to rebuild that wall really quickly. But the carriers are already moving on to the west-northern side of Mong's base, trying to look for an opening to abuse or force an opening somewhere. There he goes in, takes down the turrets, the Corsairs hunting the Valkyries. Mong does not have that much in his base to defend himself with. A couple of Goliaths. Goliaths are doing a great job hammering away at the carriers themselves. The Valkyries also took down most of the Interceptors. Valkyries now fighting against the Corsairs. Corsairs taking down the Valkyries really well, but the Corsairs eventually go down faster than the Valkyries. Valkyries take down the Corsairs. Now the carriers are hammering away at the Goliaths on the low ground. Goliaths prove to be too weak to fight against these carriers, and carriers flying over the hill cannot be targeted by anything that's on the low ground because you can't see them. And another storm came down. 40, maybe even 50 SCVs went down for Mong. Mong is down to 25 SCVs in total in his base, unable to produce anything more because his income is too low. He calls the GG, and tOKi comes out victorious and equalizes the series to 2-2. Which means I have to now find game number 5. Because I only had 4 replays here, and I think it turns out that I somehow missed replay number 5, so I have to go look for replay number 5 really quick, so I can bring to you game number 5 that will be the decider in this series, because now it's just 2-2. Both players have won as Terran, both players have won as Protoss. That's pretty nice to see, and this game was pretty exciting from both sides. Mostly from Mong's side, but Mong had turned out to have really poor management of drops this game around. Just not drop dodging with his SCVs at all, while doing everything else at such an extremely high level. So we're really sad to see him die to just the drops that he was not dealing with. But dealing with drops is a skill in and of itself. You have to learn how to deal with drops, and have to learn to dodge drops. And Mong was dodging drops, but he was being very lazy with his measure of, or the degree to which he was dodging those drops. Staying very close to his minerals, within the range of those Templars, not sending them away to another spot where it's way safer to send them to. But tOKi comes out on top, scores 2-2. Thanks for watching game number 4, and hopefully there is a game number 5.